Dear friends, this very short video talk is on request of a school in West Bengal for the 10th class children. The principal asked me, Father, could you address the students of 10th class as part of their moral science class on a particular topic which is very, very important today to reflect upon, that is peer influence. I agreed and I talked to them, and same talk I'm just putting for students to listen to. Aristotle once said, without friends, no one would choose to live, though he had all other goods. We may have everything, but if we do not have friends, our life is not complete. That's what Aristotle says. So it shows the importance of peer. Peers are people who are equal in such aspects as the age, education, social class, group, colleagues, etc. They are called as friends or pals, and some other names may be there. Peer pressure is a forceful action. People come together and influence one another by persuasion or influence. You must hear the term peer pressure used a lot these days in our schools. But peer influence is a better way to describe teenagers' behavior and that are shaped by wanting to feel that they belong to a group of friends circle. And when we talk about peer group has positive and negative elements. Let's reflect on the negative elements of peer group in the school in the early adolescence period. School, college, bunking is a common thing among the peer group people. Somebody will influence and say, instead of attending the class, they may go to a park, or they may go for a film, and so on. It's happening. And we know in most of the schools and colleges, this is a common phenomenon among students. Based on the influence of the peer, they get out of the school. The second negative elements can be intoxication habits. Intoxication habits means either smoking, in a small group they will come and somebody will force the other person who is not willing to smoke also, and drinking or taking drugs. Alcoholism is a common thing in the peer group. Third is pressurizing the parents. They will ask the parents, we want this, we want that, I want this, I want that, please give me, otherwise I will do harm. And we also have many antisocial elements. Antisocial elements means breaking, which is not acceptable to the society and family. Such actions are there. Breaking, destroying, fighting in the groups and so on. That is called antisocial activities. We also have distraction from studies. Students are distracted because when they, suppose one student starts studying, that is the time peer group, somebody calls or friends call, and then they ask them to stop studying, come on, let's go for this and that. And we have very, very bad experiences of peer group, in the boys locker room group in Delhi and so on is a sign of peer group pressure, negative pressure. Through the influence of the peer group, students can turn to bad literature, bad readings, and also movies and serials and so on, which are not very good. So this is another area. Social media influence, today they are all turned to social media through WhatsApp messages, to Facebook, to Twitter, and all kinds of things they are using. And bad group or the peer group can force people, teasing friends, bullying their friends, and so on. Even group fights they can have. Negative peer pressure is often dangerous and against the school rules and family rules, and even against personal values. So that's about negative sides of the peer group pressure. There are also positive signs. A peer group can give a lot of positive things. For example, it can increase the motivation level. It can develop good habits. You know. Many students are following good habits because of other groups, other members of the group. It can lead to positive thinking. Even in the negativities, a group is influenced by positivity, will influence all the members of the group. It also can lead students to be responsible. So that is the line of positive influence of the peer groups. Positive peer pressure is often overlooked, but it does exist and may be described as an influence to do what is right. When we look at positive and negative, negative is more because it's a peer group pressure. That itself is a negative thing. So, as I said, positively it can help at studying, volunteering, befriending someone, community service, joining a sports team, etc. Now, how to handle the negative aspect of this peer pressure? A few points. Number one is say no. In the group, suppose they influence you to do something, you say no. Second is muster a moral courage. A lot of moral courage needed to stand alone. You may not be part of this crowd, but you need to be separate. So that need a lot of moral courage. You need inner strength and self-confidence. You need right friend choice. For example, at least one right friend you need to have. Never go with the negative ones, no? And seek advice from elders if need be. Emerson says, show me your friend, I'll tell you who you are. That means if a good person is your friend, that means you are also good. If a bad person is your friend, that means you are also good. Company makes what you are. Peer influence is when you choose to do something you could not otherwise do because you want to feel accepted and influenced by your friends. Peer group is actually peer influence is very, very common. And the hierarchy of needs of Abraham Maslow, he talks about all of us have 5 needs, and the basic need is physiological, which is breathing, food, water, love, and so on and so forth. Security needs are security of body, of employment, of resources, of morality, family, health, property, etc. We need a third level of need that is called belonging needs. Belonging needs. And belonging needs means friendship is necessary, family, intimacy, etc. And I think an adolescence period, this belonging need is very high in the children. And that is why they look for this peer group influence. And usually it's almost expected that you will experience peer influence frequently when you are in adolescence period. And adolescence period itself is looking for intimacy, looking for companionship, friendship. And adolescence period is a time of stress and tension. And therefore, it's easy for the students to get into this group for constructive or destructive works. And therefore, we need to look at 5 areas of overcoming this peer negativity. Number 1 is develop a positive self-esteem. Good self-esteem will restrict negativities. So therefore, ask yourself, take charge of yourself and see that no one is like you. You have a personality of your own. You have a heredity, and heredity influenced by a good background, good family atmosphere. That is called the need for developing self-esteem. Second point is you always take charge of the aspirations and contentment. You must take charge of your own satisfaction. You need to be happy in life. There should be joyfulness in life. There should be a satisfaction in whatever you do. Third is students must choose your friends wisely. Don't go follow any Dick and Harry. You should follow your friends who can influence you. Take charge of your own friendship circle. Friendship must be very, very choosy. And another point is, don't try to fit in everywhere. Take charge of your association. Whom are you associated with? What for? You are unique, and that uniqueness must be kept up. No one else has traits as you have, and therefore you don't try to get into somebody's shoes. And finally, trust in God. That means take charge of your faith. For example, your most important responsibility is to believe God, trust Him, base your convictions upon His word, and obey Him with your entire heart. For many children, peer pressure is an important test of faith. When they are encouraged by friends to do something contrary to God's will, please remember the word in the Bible. This is 1 Corinthians verse 10:31 says, to do all to the glory of God, not for one's own glory. And therefore, my dear friends, I conclude here. It is hardly impossible to go through out your lives without being influenced by one way or the other. So we have to guard ourselves to stand firm and make choices based on what we want and what is right. And I think choosing this right thing is discernment. And I am sure that all the boys and girls of this age must be careful about this peer group, and especially the negative influence of the peer group pressure. Thank you very much.